Wake up, Donnie.
I met a new friend.
Real or imaginary?
28 days.
Imaginary.
6 hours. 42 minutes. 12 seconds. Do you believe in time travel?
I'm going to tell you a little story today about a young man whose life was completely destroyed by fear.
Wake up.
You want to tell Mom and Dad why you stopped taking your medication?
I've been watching you. Do you believe in time travel? Wake up, Donnie. "28 days. 6 hours. 42 minutes. 12 seconds.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Hi, and welcome back to Movie Club. I'm your host and curator around these parts, Patrick Smith, and I'm delighted you decided to join us again tonight. On tonight's episode, we'll be tackling the philosophy of time travel, a demonic-looking bunny man by the name of Frank, and how the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001 nearly derailed the success of this film and pushed it into obscurity until it was saved by cult-like status. All this and more on tonight's episode of Movie Club. Roll the intro, Frank! Welcome, one and all, back to Movie Club. I'm delighted you decided to join us again, because tonight we are going to be delving into the cult classic that is Richard Kelly's 2001 debut feature, Donnie Darko. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal in the title role, this is one of his first films, and let me tell you, he started off his career exceptionally strong with this cult hit. After his character, Donnie, narrowly escapes death by help from a demonic-looking bunny dude by the name of Frank, of all names, he then begins to receive portents of incoming doom, and especially the reminder from Frank that in 28 days, the world is coming to an end. Over the following days, Darko tries to uncover all the mystery that's happening around him, try and understand how Frank could know this. This leads Darko to travel down the rabbit hole of time travel and plenty more in this small town, as Frank asks him to do increasingly dangerous things that put him in exceptional danger. Gyllenhaal is no stranger to the screen, having been in a ton of indie films like Darko, as well as Nightcrawler from director Dan Gilroy, and as big a film as Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners, alongside Hugh Jackman, and the most recent Spider-Man film. But Gyllenhaal has made a career out of picking exceptionally weird characters, and I love him all the more for that. And the fact that that started as far back as his third feature, I think should tell you a lot. Because Donnie Darko isn't just your average high schooler. This is a kid who already has problems before the portents start, and things only begin to spiral out of control after that. Prior to the film's start, Darko apparently burned down a house and was suspended from school and is no longer able to drive until he turns 21. So he has a bit of a past at this point and already has some emotional issues. So imagine a demonic bunny man entering and being like, hey, what's up? The world's going to end. That's definitely not going to cause problems for someone who already has a history of mental health issues. I do want to set your expectations correct because it's important to do that with films. This is a drama and more of a sci-fi thriller, I guess. Sure, there are horror elements present here, but mostly this is about uncovering the mystery of what's going to happen at the end of that 28-day countdown. And what do all these weird symbols and ideas mean? What's it all going to mean when the world comes to an end? The film's most horrific elements come not from outright acts of violence, but through watching the deteriorating mental health of our protagonist as he tries to uncover what is going on, but also some of the ideas this film puts across. Because this movie, since it is a film about time travel, is going to deal with ideas of fate, of predestination, and free will.
Well, you're contradicting yourself, Donnie. If we were able to see our destinies manifest themselves visually, then we would be given a choice to betray our chosen destinies. And the mere fact that this choice exists would make all preformed destiny come to an end.
As well as the age-old question, does every living creature on Earth die alone?
Did Frank tell you to do these things?
I have to obey him. He saved my life. I have to obey him or I'll be left all alone.
These are more, I guess, thinking man's questions. The kind of things that you ponder over late at night and you try and push out of your brain the second you get them. Because those questions are really uncomfortable. And director Richard Kelly doesn't give you a ton of clear answers. In fact, his film has been praised for its ambiguity. It never gives you an easy answer to any question, and in turn, kind of laughs in the face of trying to understand or uncover these answers to begin with.
I'm sorry, Miss Foreman, I don't get this.
Just place an X on the lifeline in the appropriate place.
No, I mean, I know what to do, I don't get this. You can't just lump things into two categories. Things aren't that simple.
The lifeline is divided that way.
Well, life isn't that simple. I mean, who cares if Ling Ling returns the wallet and keeps the money? Has nothing to do with either fear or love.
Fear and love are the deepest of human emotions.
Okay, but you're not listening to me. There are other things that need to be taken into account here, like the whole spectrum of human emotion. You can't just lump everything into these two categories and then just deny everything else.
That's not to say that we don't get any answers at all, because, let's face it, there's a lot of stuff in this film that is pretty well covered. And as always, in films about time travel and fate, every detail matters. The smallest thing, the things that are happening in the background on the boards in the classrooms, as well as paragraphs in a book that you only see for a couple seconds, everything matters. Every phrase, every line, every single background character, everything matters. Pay attention. Because this film is going to call back to things that you saw within the first 30 seconds of this movie until the credits begin to roll. And I think that makes for a deeply satisfying film watching experience. And it's a compelling mystery to boot. It's one that I don't think you can solve on a first watch. This is a film that demands rewatches to see all the intricate details that go together to create this spider's web, or this Pepe Silvia web, for another reference, to help convey a deep truth at the core of this film. Now, obviously, since this is a commentary video that you're going to be watching prior to the screening of the film, I'm not going to spoil any of that right now. But there's plenty of resources in the description once you finish if you have a ton more questions. Or if you're really looking for some answers, the less well-regarded director's cut of the film, which Richard Kelly more refers to, the special edition of the film, adds a lot less ambiguity, longer scenes, and a lot more fleshing out of some of the more metaphysical concepts here at play. So there's options for you. I would also be remiss to not mention the rest of the cast of characters here, because this film actually is kind of this weird coming together of the movie club extended universe. In fact, we have 2 alums that we've seen previously back in Independence Day. That would be the matriarch of the family, Rose Darko, played by Mary McDonnell, and our weird bunny man, Frank, played by James Duvall. Holmes Osborne, who plays Eddie Darko, the patriarch of the family, was previously in a film alongside Tom Hanks, That Thing You Do, as well as a ton of television projects. And ironically enough, we have Maggie Gyllenhaal here to play Elizabeth Darko, Donnie's sister. It's ironic because they're actually siblings in real life, and both are fantastic actors in their own regards. But the sibling dialogue here is exceptionally well done because the banter back and forth between them feels real, because I imagine they're pulling from lived experience. We also have Jenna Malone here playing Donnie's love interest, Gretchen Ross. Malone has previously been in a wide variety of films, including the Hunger Games films, Into the Wild, as well as an upcoming screening that we'll be having in February, Pride and Prejudice. Playing Donnie's youngest sister, we have Davy Chase, who, while you may not remember her from a ton of on-screen appearances, has definitely made an impression on you, both in the American remake of The Ring as Samara, as well as the voice of Lilo in the original Lilo and Stitch film. I'll hit 2 more real quick because we have a lot to get through in this episode. But Patrick Swayze also makes an appearance in a very interesting character, Jim Cunningham, who is a motivational speaker that particularly gets under Donnie's skin. Also, Seth Rogen makes his first theatrical appearance here. Quite a despicable character as one of the school bullies. And he makes his film debut with this line.
I like your boobs.
Quite fitting given the following career that he has. Drew Barrymore also makes an appearance as Miss Pomeroy, who is a teacher that, let's face it, would probably have been my favorite teacher in high school, because she continuously picks really interesting books, and the thematic elements that they're discussing in her class are always interesting.
It was as though this plan had been with him all his life, pondered through the seasons, now in his 15th year, crystallized with the pain of puberty.
Plus, I always got a kick out of English class. It was one of my favorite books. And you know what? Why not? Let's throw in Jerry Traynor of iCarly and Drake and Josh fame, and Ashley Tisdale, for the hell of it, you know?
How can I decide what I want to be when I grow up?
Just as itsy-bitsy characters that you're probably barely gonna remember. Now that we've run through the cast, which admittedly is quite stacked, I want to talk to you about the interesting history of this film. This film was shot in just about 28 days, which is interesting given that that's effectively the span of time that this film covers, from August 2nd until the wee hours of Halloween. One of the things that's most memorable about this film, aside from its story and its great characters, is its really exceptional soundtrack. I mean, this is something that you definitely want to have on record so you can throw it on your record player and jam out to these tunes, because, wow, this is an exceptional soundtrack. One of the things about this being an exceptional soundtrack is, since this was kind of an independent, tiny film, it made it a little bit hard to get all the songs that they wanted to, which resulted in a couple changes that I would say actually makes the soundtrack better. As opposed to being able to use one of a classic U2 song, they instead had to trade out for a cover of the Tears for Fears song Mad World, which has gone on to be one of the most popular songs from this movie. The cover by Michael Andrews and Gary Jules is perhaps my favorite version of the song. I do sort of like Tears for Fears' original Mad World, but at the end of the day, the cover that was made for this film is too good. Of course, we've also got songs that are just, you know, exceptional little tiny details that only enhance the world of the film. This includes the usage of The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen. Pretty fitting band name, might I say. But this film's biggest issues came when it turned to actually getting the film released. Not only was it a very complicated, esoteric, and sometimes confusing plot that made it very difficult to market, this film very nearly went to the Starz network or just straight to DVD, which would have been a bummer already. Luckily, Drew Barrymore agreed to help produce the film and get it to theaters, and alongside the efforts of our favorite friend, Christopher Nolan, this film actually got a theatrical debut. The problem was, it debuted in October of 2001. And given one of its important plot points comes from an engine of a plane falling off and landing in an empty room that Donnie would have been inhabiting had he not been seeing a vision of Frank, needless to say, given literally the month prior, September 11th, 2001, terrorists attacked the World Trade Center in New York City, people weren't really interested in seeing this movie. And producers were scared to market this film. So they pulled all the marketing material and this film flopped. It wasn't until this film went to DVD that people finally started to discover it and realize that this was a modern classic. The marketing issues didn't just stop with them pulling all the marketing though. In fact, they changed the font face for the film title on all marketing materials that were still out there, like posters and the like. I guess maybe because you could interpret the font of Donnie Darko as Arabic? I don't know, that's what the internet seems to think, but that seems a little bit racist to me. I could talk honestly all day about this film and its little intricacies that make it so much better for me. But I think if I were to talk any more about this film, I would have to start spoiling it for you, and honestly, I just can't see myself doing that. So without further ado, let's dig into this delightful cult hit that is 2001's Richard Kelly directed Donnie Darko. Wait. What's today? Oh, crap. That was weird. Oh well. Where was I? Oh, I didn't see you there. Hi, and welcome back to Movie Club.